In part one of this story, we concluded that by the year 1878, George Stephen Fleming, as a late coal agent, must have died, leaving his wife and 2 daughters living at Windsor Post Office. However, a few years ago, resulting from further research, a message came to me from a Canadian cousin suggesting that George had been in Canada, gone down to the States, got married, had become an actor and artist, and finally worked at the X in Toronto. All hard to believe, of course, but I checked it out, and this is what must have happened to George Stephen Fleming. Following the birth of Mary Ann, either as a result perhaps of a falling out or by agreement, George sailed for Canada, perhaps with a job to go to. The Canadian National Exhibition, or X, was being relocated to a new site at that time, and there was a demand for all types of workers, including artists, so maybe George went there during the years 1878 to 79. Whether George originally intended going to the USA, we don't know, of course, but records later gave his entry year as having been 1880. In the States, he made his way to Manhattan in New York and found work in the city's thriving theatre industry, variously as an artist or an actor. Following Hannah's death in 1885, George married a Swedish widow, 34-year-old Ida von Wyckoff, and a son, George Audi, was born in January 1887, but unfortunately didn't live long. In Manhattan, the Flemings lived in a rented apartment where eventually they raised 3 sons, Alfred, Lovell, and Herbert. Following Alfred's birth, the family moved to California for a few years, where the theatre industry was fast catching up with New York's. Back in Manhattan, by 1900, George Stephen Fleming's career as an actor and artist took an amazing turn when he was hired by Thomas Edison to work at his New York movie studio. A string of silent movies were produced by Edison over the next 3 years, with George S. Fleming credited variously as actor, scenic designer, or director in many of them. The IMDb website gives you a full list. Why George's career in movies ended in 1903, we don't know, but he continued to live in Manhattan and work at his old trades. To help pay the rent, Dr. Potter became a lodger. Eventually, George's relationship with Ida deteriorated, and he left home. Dr. Potter stayed. George went north to Toronto, where he worked at the X until he died of pneumonia at the General Hospital in 1917, aged 73. In 1916, Prince Arthur, Duke of Connaught, nearing the end of his governorship of Canada, had visited the X, where it is on record that he met George Fleming's eldest son, his childhood friend, who was working there. Now, going back a bit, George's daughter, Mary Ann, nursed a badly wounded Canadian soldier in a Paddington hospital during World War I. And on the 16th of September, 1919, in York, Toronto, Mary Fleming, daughter of Anna Bambridge and George Fleming, married Philip Louis Balcombe of Dundas, Ontario, and they set up home at 252 George Street, Toronto. Yes, that's right, George Street. George S. Fleming, a man who once made millions laugh or cry, lies in the Prospect Cemetery, Toronto. Just a name, a non-entity. His grave paid for by Mary Fleming, but no mention of his unique background or his pioneering role in today's worldwide multi-billion-dollar entertainment industry.